Welcome to Majesty's House of Music. Now this is our 6th part. It's going to be on augmented chords. So for those of you who have no idea what an augmented chord is, an augmented chord looks something like this. Now that's a C augmented chord. So assuming you start with the major chord, for you to get an augmented chord, you just sharpen the 5th. So you'll get something like this. Yeah? So it's the 1, the 3, and the sharp 5. And there are only, I think, how many? 4 sets. There are only 4 sets of augmented chords on the keyboard. So you have this one. It's the same as this one. And it's the same as this one. So the C augmented chord is the same as the E augmented chord and the G sharp augmented chord. That's just the same thing. Then the C sharp augmented chord, so it's something like this. It's the same as the F augmented chord and the same as the A augmented chord. Then we have the D. The D looks something like this. It's the same as F sharp and A sharp. And then the last one is the E flat, which is something like this. It's the same as G and the same as B. So we only have, how many? 4 sets of augmented chords on the keyboard. So basically this is the use of augmented chords on the key of C. So this is how you could use, let's say, an augmented chord. The theory is this: as long as you are using an augmented chord, let's say you are using a C augmented chord, your bass line is supposed to be a tone higher. Same as the theory for the quarter chords. Like for example, let me give you an example. So for those who like to do this 6, 2, 5, 1 movement, then 4. So this 6, 2, 5, 1 movement, for those who like to do the 6, 2, 5, 1, 4 movement. Now, this is how you would substitute such a movement. Let's say you play the 6th chord. So, you will have let's say a C major 7 on your right hand, then you will have an A7 chord on your left hand. So you have A, E, and G. Or maybe you could even add the C, but it's not necessary. So A, E, and G. Then you could have a C major 7 chord. B, C, E, G, something of that sort. So that's your 6th chord. Or you could even ignore this upper G and just have something of that sort. So instead of you going to the 2, which would probably give you something like this. Okay, so instead of you doing that, this is what you could do. So instead of you going to the 2, just go to the flat 6. So you could have something. So you could have such a chord. So you could have a 6, flat 6, then to the 5 as normal. So that 5, you have G and D on your left hand, then you have F, B flat, and C on your right hand. So you have your 6, you have your flat 6, then you have your 5. So 6, flat 6. Yeah, you could just play the bass line, the G sharp, on your left hand, then this augmented chord on your right hand, F sharp, B flat, and D. Or maybe you could play a tritone on your left hand, something of this sort. So you could have G sharp and D. Okay? But I don't have to repeat this D on my left hand. I have it on my right hand. So that works for me. Then 5. Okay? Or maybe if you wanted to play it higher, something of that sort. So let's do the movement again. You have your 6. Okay, I'm pretty much using closed voicings. You could open them up, so you could have something of this sort. So you could have something of that sort. Depends on how much you want to open your voicings. So it's still the C major 7 chord over the A. So you have that. Then you have something of this sort. Okay? Or maybe decide to invert it. Whichever kind of inversion you decide to. Then you have your 5 chord. Then you could have your 1 chord like we did in the previous chapter on quarter chords. Your 1, then your 4. So instead of doing this all the time, you could do something of this sort. See, that sounds much better than just doing this. Okay, so basically that's how you could use an augmented chord in such a situation. And then the other substitution you could use, instead of now after the 5, instead of you playing the 1 chord like this, okay, or you know the tricks, you could use this or that. Instead of you just playing it like that all the time, what you could do, you could substitute that with a flat 5 chord. So basically you have 6, you have your augmented chord there, you have your 5. Then you have something of that sort. Then to the 4. Okay? So that's an F sharp and C. That's an F sharp tritone on your left hand. Then here you have E, G sharp, and C, which is a C augmented chord, but now inverted. So we are starting from C. So it's something like this, but now inverted, just inverted. So you have something of that sort. Then to the 4. Okay, so you have your 6. Then to your 5. Then to. Okay, so you have your 6. Again, let's do it for the last time. Okay, then your 5. Then to the 4. So you basically have such kinds of substitutions. Let's say there is this other progression people like to do, the 2-5-1. So the 2. So I'm basically playing D, C, and F on my left hand. If you can't do that kind of extension, just keep it simple or play it higher. So you have D, A, and C. Then you have G, A, C, and F on your right hand. Then this passing note, it's just an F major chord. So it's just the inversion of the F chord basically. Then, and I taught this movement earlier in this course. So from the F to the E minor to the D minor, then to the C. So that's a good movement. There is no problem with you playing like that. So you could substitute it with something like this. Okay. Hear that? So instead of you playing the 2-5-1 all the time, you could play the 2. Okay? So the 2, maintain your 2, or if you are playing it higher, then to the flat 2. So you have C sharp and G. That's a C sharp tritone. Then you have a G augmented chord or a B augmented chord, like I said, or a D sharp augmented chord, that inversion. So you have B, D sharp, and G. So, and like I taught you in the first part, you could play a 5 over the 1. Okay? So and if you are keen enough, you could use that same movement in the key of G. You could use that very same movement, assuming you wanted to do your 5-1-4. Now you this is just a by the way, so you could do to the 4. Okay, so it's the same thing. It's just the same. So you could play something of this sort. Let's say this. That's your 2. So you could voice it that way. So you have D, F, and G on your left hand. Then you have A, C, E, and G on your right hand. Then you have your augmented chord. So anyway, so basically those are simple augmented movements. So another substitution you could use with augmented chord, 7-3-6 progression. I taught you something like this in the previous part. Then that. So basically you have something. So 7. Let me repeat what I taught. I said you have B, F sharp, A on your left hand. Then you have A. You have an A major chord on your right hand, but I'm extending it, so I have E at the bottom and A at the top. So A. Okay, so Then E, G sharp, D, left hand. I have just a C major chord on my right hand. You could extend it, and then so I'm basically having a 5 chord on my right hand and a 6 chord on my left hand. So I have A, G, C, then I have G, B, D on my right hand. So anyway, so that's 7, 3, 6. So instead of just doing that all the time, yeah, let's substitute the 7. So instead of playing the A major, play the A augmented. It's actually that simple. So play the A augmented. So you have B, F, then you have A, C sharp, F, then to the 3, you could have something of that sort. So you have B, F, A, C sharp, F, that's an A augmented over the B triton. So then just drop the augmented chord so that we have this is a C sharp augmented chord, so just drop it back to the C using this voicing. So you have G sharp, C and E. Then here you could have that. You could have just E and E octaves on your right hand, on your left hand I mean. Then you could maintain your 6. So something of that sort. So okay, so you could basically use these augmented chords to do a lot of substitutions as far as your playing is concerned. There are so many. So let's say now we combine the movement. So you have 7, 3, you have 6. Instead of the 2, we have the flat 5. Then you have the 5. Instead of the 1, we have the flat 5. Then you have the 4. Then let's say you have the 3. So the 3, you could do this C augmented chord. Okay? So you have E and G sharp on your left hand. If you can't extend, just play the E from here. So then I have C augmented chord, C, E, G sharp and C again. Okay? Then you have the 6. Then you see the 6. I'm still using an augmented chord. So maybe I could use this B, D sharp, G, then to the 2. Instead of going to the 5, I could use the flat 2 like we did. So the flat 2, then back to the 1. So I basically substituted a lot of movements with augmented chords. So that's how you can use your augmented chords. You don't have to be so complicated. So just get this in order. Simple and clear. You use an augmented chord on your right hand, you play a bass line that is a tone higher. It doesn't necessarily apply everywhere. Okay? It doesn't necessarily apply everywhere. So you don't have to use augmented chords all the time. So this is just a section to show you how to use them on the key of C. Okay? So make sure your voicings are correct. Okay? This voice, your left hand really helps. So if you're used to playing the 1-5-1 technique, again, it's not really going to help you as far as augmented chords are concerned. So you might want to consider changing your mentality about your left hand voicings. Okay, they don't have to be this. You don't have to play that all the time. So consider changing your mentality about your left hand voicings. It will really help you when you are voicing these augmented chords on your right hand. So that's it for this lesson. Make sure you practice, and I'll see you in the next one.